Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. Tonight, we bring you a recap of the latest developments from the world of politics and international affairs. In Iran, a series of strikes has led to explosions in the city of Isfahan, leaving residents shaken. Meanwhile, in a stark contrast, a diplomatic spat between Iran and the United States has taken a new turn. French President Emmanuel Macron has weighed in on the U.S. approach to Iran, sparking a heated debate. We'll delve into these stories and more in our evening recap on war objectives. Reports are emerging from Iran's central Isfahan province of a sudden escalation in violence, with videos capturing devastating explosions and widespread destruction. Reports from Isfahan in central Iran indicate a series of strikes have resulted in explosions. The strikes appear to have targeted military installations. Details on the nature and extent of the damage are still emerging. Local authorities have confirmed multiple explosions occurred, with eyewitnesses describing the sound of gunfire and explosions. The strikes are believed to have been carried out by Iranian forces, although officials have not confirmed this. The Iranian government has not made any official statement regarding the incidents. However, Iranian media outlets have reported that several military personnel were killed in the strikes. The situation in Isfahan remains volatile, with residents advised to remain indoors. International relations expert Dr. Ali Ansari has weighed in on the situation, stating that the strikes could escalate tensions in the region. The U.S. and other Western nations have issued statements condemning the attacks, while some regional neighbors have expressed support for Iran. The strikes in Isfahan serve as a reminder of the ongoing tensions in the Middle East. The region has experienced a series of conflicts in recent years, including the U.S.-Iran conflict. The strikes also raise concerns about the stability of the region, with potential implications for global energy markets and security. As the situation continues to unfold, it is unclear what the long-term consequences of the strikes will be. The involvement of multiple countries and the strategic importance of the strait have transformed the conflict into a complex, multi-layered phenomenon. As the situation continues to unfold, it remains to be seen how this conflict will ultimately play out, and what the consequences will be for the global economy and international relations. Joining us now, we take a closer look at the latest developments in a shocking turn of events involving one of America's most powerful banking executives. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, has been drawing attention for his comments on the Iran war and his potential future endeavors. In an interview with Axios' Jim Vandehee, Dimon defended the U.S. decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal, stating that it was a good deal for the country. This stance is in contrast to some of his fellow business leaders, who have expressed concerns about the war's impact on the global economy. Dimon also brushed off speculation that he might run for office in the future. When asked about the possibility, he said, "I'm not running for office. I'm going to be a philanthropist. I'm going to be a businessman. I'm going to be a leader in my community." However, his comments on the Iran war have raised questions about his stance on the country's president, Donald Trump. Dimon's remarks have sparked interest in his post-CEO plans, with some speculating that he may use his influence to promote philanthropic efforts. As the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, Dimon has outsized influence in the American business landscape, making his views on the Iran war and his potential future endeavors significant. His comments have also highlighted the divide between business leaders and the current administration on key issues. With Dimon's influence and experience, his views on the Iran war and his potential future endeavors are worth watching. The international community will be watching the situation closely, as it has the potential to destabilize the region and lead to further conflict, with many hoping for a peaceful resolution. However, with the conflict showing no signs of abating, the prospects of a peaceful resolution seem increasingly distant. It will be closely watched by business leaders, policymakers, and the public. As the world grapples with the escalating tensions in the Middle East, people are rethinking their daily routines and priorities in response. The world is responding to the Iran war oil crisis with emergency measures to protect supply and halt rising prices. The crisis began after the U.S. and Israel bombed Iran in late February, leading to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial shipping route for oil and seaborne gas. The International Energy Agency, IEA, has called for actions such as flying less and driving slower to calm markets. The U.S. has threatened further blows to Iranian oil infrastructure, which may prolong the war and raise fuel prices further. On Tuesday, Donald Trump lashed out at allies who have not joined the campaign, including the UK and France, by telling them to first buy from the US and then go get your own oil from the Gulf. The Trump administration on the waterway to show courage and seize control. The US military has decimated Iran's Navy drone and ballistic missile forces, according to Trump. However, the president's comments also left room for speculation about potential future actions. If negotiations with Iran's leadership fail, Trump threatened to hit Iranian energy infrastructure, which would be a significant escalation. The speech comes as Trump grapples with rising gas prices and sliding personal popularity ratings. The war has entered its fifth week, and the U.S. midterm elections are looming in November. Trump's words have significant implications for global politics and economies. The situation remains fluid, with the U.S. and Iran engaged in a delicate dance of diplomacy and military force. Certain future, with fuel prices continuing to rise and supplies dwindling. The situation remains fluid, with tensions between the U.S. and Iran continuing to escalate. In a surprise address to the nation, former U.S. President Donald Trump has revealed that the objectives of a potential war with Iran are almost within reach. President Trump has delivered a televised address to the nation, stating that the U.S. military is nearly complete with its objectives in the Iran war. In the speech, Trump vowed to strike Iran extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks, with the goal of finishing the job very fast. He made no mention of a specific timeline for ending the conflict. The speech came as the U.S. struggles with rocketing gas prices and sliding personal popularity ratings, with the war entering its fifth week. Trump called on countries that rely on oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz to show courage and seize the waterway, which has been effectively closed by Iranian attacks since the conflict began. The U.S. president's comments did little to reassure global oil markets, with the price of benchmark Brent crude rising to $105 a barrel after the speech. Trump's words have raised concerns about the potential for further escalation, particularly if negotiations with Iran's leadership prove fruitless. The conflict has already had significant consequences, including the downing of a U.S. military drone by Iran in September and retaliatory heightened tensions between Israel and Iran, with the Iranian regime having threatened to retaliate against Israeli and American targets. The operation is part of the larger context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the ongoing regional dynamics. The U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, announced that its operation, codenamed Epic Fury, has seen significant progress, with over 12,300 targets destroyed and more than 13,000 combat flights performed since the war began in late January. American attacks have also rendered at least 155 Iranian Navy vessels inoperative. The operation marks a significant escalation in the conflict, with implications for regional stability and global security. We now turn to a developing story in the Middle East, where Iran's latest move has raised eyebrows in Washington, potentially setting a trap for a familiar face. The Iranian military, severely damaged and depleted, has managed to hold the world economy hostage. This is a pressing concern for the United States, as Tehran's new leadership exerts pressure to either escalate or change course. Tehran's current leadership, led by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, is facing mounting costs, and it remains to be seen how long they can continue down this path. The ongoing war in the Middle East has led to a significant strain on Iran's military resources, but they have still managed to maintain a level of influence. The situation is complex, with multiple parties involved. The United States, under the leadership of President Joe Biden, has been engaged in diplomatic efforts with Iran. However, the U.S. has also been increasing its military presence in the region, citing concerns about Iran's nuclear program and regional aggression. The Iranian government has been using its military capabilities to pressure the U.S. into changing its policy. This has included a series of cyber attacks and drone strikes targeting U.S. interests in the region. The U.S. has responded with increased sanctions and military action, including a drone strike that killed top Iranian military commander Qasem Soleimani in 2020. The situation is a major concern for the global economy, as a destabilization of the Middle East could have far-reaching consequences. The U.S., European countries, and other nations are closely watching the situation, and there are concerns that a miscalculation could lead to essential to understand the motivations and interests of the key players involved. The U.S. and Israel are seeking to undermine Iran's influence in the region, while Iran is determined to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The international community must take a proactive role in mediating a peaceful resolution to this conflict, lest the consequences be devastating. French President Emmanuel Macron has taken aim at U.S. President Donald Trump's diplomatic style, sparking a major debate about the art of international communication. The Iran war has now entered its second month, with the United States and Israel launching airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities in June 2025. The U.S. President, Donald Trump, claimed that the strikes had obliterated Iranian nuclear facilities. However, Iran has denied that the facilities were destroyed. In fact, Iranian officials claim that the strikes caused minimal damage and that Iran's nuclear program remains intact. The conflict escalated after the U.S. and Israel launched the airstrikes, and Iran responded with missile strikes on U.S. and Israeli targets in the region. The situation has since become increasingly volatile, with tensions running high between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. The conflict has raised concerns about the potential for a wider war in the region, with many countries fearing that the situation could spiral out of control. The European Union, including France, has supported some of the U.S. operations in the region, but has so far resisted getting dragged into the war. The situation is complicated by the fact that the U.S. and Israel seem to be sending mixed messages about their intentions. Trump's comments on the conflict have been particularly contradictory, with him at one point suggesting that a ceasefire was near, and at another point saying that the war had already been won. French President Emmanuel Macron has criticized Trump's approach, saying that it is not serious and that it undermines the trust behind alliances like NATO. Macron's comments have been seen as a rare rebuke of Trump's leadership style, and they reflect the deepening divisions between the U.S. and its European allies over the Iran conflict. That's all for today's news recap. Thank you for watching. We'll continue to bring you updates on the latest developments. If you want to stay informed, be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye and good night.